Hello, welcome back to Stuff in Excel. And what we're going to do in this particular part of our discussion on Power BI is we're going to look at how to load your data into the Power BI interface. Now, if you're new to this video, remember this is part 3 in a series of videos on Power BI. So you can go to the playlist at the YouTube channel and go back and watch the introduction and also part 2 where we talk about the interface. So what we're talking about here in part 3 is how to load the data up into the Power BI interface. Now, the data we're going to be using is linked in the description section to the YouTube video, so you can go download that file and follow along if you wish. So you see we've got here where we can upload our data. We can either do import data from Excel, or we can go up here above and do get data. Very similar to what we did in Excel and also what we might do in Power Query. So either one of these does the same thing. These are pre-populated with a couple of defaults, and it then says we can get data from another source, or we can go up here to get data, and it works the same way. So let's just first get our data file using the default data option on the main screen. We're going to get our data imported from an Excel file. So we click on that, and we get a number of files. Now, the file that you can download is this Power BI sample file sales. It will be linked in the description section of this video on YouTube. So I'm going to click on that, and it's going to open up this file. I'm going to hit open. It's going to open it up. It's going to give me several options. It's going to show me a lot of things that are on this. Now, these first two items, these are actually tables, but we're not going to use those. We're not going to use these items down here that show the shaded cells. That's when we want to look at individual data lists. What we're going to do is want to look at these spreadsheets. There's 3 of them on this in this file, and the first one we're going to look at is sales. So if I just click on sales, don't click in the box, just click on sales, and it's going to bring up what sales looks like. And we have several options. It starts with transaction date. It then has units sold, sales price per unit, total sales, employee number, and employment status for each employee. Now we're going to click on, so that's what I want. I'm not going to edit it or transform it in any way. I'm just going to click in the box. Now I can load it. Notice the load box is now highlighted. I can click on that, and what it's going to do is it's going to populate this over on the far right side in the data column. And you see there it is. We click on that arrow and we open it, and we see all the different data columns that we saw before. But notice this time they're a little different. They've been alphabetized for us. Now that's something that Power BI does. Don't let it bother you. It just puts things in the order it wants to put them in. Now, we want to actually load up some other files. I want to show you can load up multiple files at once with this, and you can choose to transform those files or not transform them as it is. So let's go up and load another file. I'm going to go to Get Data, and I'm going to go to Excel Workbook. When I go to Excel Workbook, I'm going to click, in this case, the same file. You could click a different file, but I happen to know that it's in the same file. And what I'm going to open this time is the Employee tab that's available to us. So I look at it, and it's got employee name, employee first name, employee number, and status. So I'm going to click on the employees. I want to load that. I'm not going to transform anything. I'm going to load it. And when we load it, we're going to see that, again, it populates over on the far right as a separate worksheet. And I open that, and we see we've got the data items that we wanted. But notice there's a little difference here. We've got employee number here. It actually has an employee with the number sign, but down under sales it has employee number. We can't change that now, but we can go back and change it later. I'm going to show you. So let's now go load one more file up. We're going to upload the, go back to our Excel workbook, same data file, and this time we're going to upload the store list. So I'm just going to click on that. And this time, instead of loading it, when I look at this, I notice it's got store number, region, and state. But notice store number is the actual word store number instead of like in the employee file where it says store space number sign. So I'm going to go in and I am going to modify or transform this data before I load it up. So I'm going to click transform data this time. So it's a little different. We can now go in here, we can transform this data. Let me bring it over here so we can see it. And this opens it up in the Power Query interface. Now we've seen this before. When we upload files from in Excel, it uploads it using the Power Query interface. So this is something that should not be unfamiliar to you. What we're going to do is I'm just going to go to this first column. I'm going to double click in it, and I'm going to type in store number. Now, I'm going to hit that now. It's done. Now, what I'm going to do next, I'm going to click up here to close and apply. Now, I don't know why when you open up Power Query in Power BI, it says store and apply. If I open up Power Query in Excel, it says close and load instead of close and apply. I don't know why it does that. It's just a little odd that the terminology is not the same, but it is the same interface. So I'm going to close and apply this, and it's now going to open this sales or the store Excel spreadsheet over in my far right column. So I close and apply. It's not doing it. There it goes. Close and apply. And it's going to load it, and it's going to load it up down here as another Excel spreadsheet. So I now have 3 Excel spreadsheets in this particular file. And you notice when I open this, it's got the store number sign, which matches the store number sign up in the employee file. Now, this is going to be important. So let's jump over to the left side of the screen now and look a little bit at what we've got. We've got this that allows us to do visualizations. We'll do that in the next video. This is our spreadsheet data. So if I click on it, it gives me my options. I can look at the employee data. I can look at the sales data. I can look at the stores data. And actually, if I look at the sales data, remember we had this employee number. We want to change that to employee number sign. I can do that. I'm just going to click on it, and I'm going to go up here and double click, and then I'll go into here, and I'll just change this to employee number. And I'm going to just change it right up here. Employee number. Oops. And so that should match. Now, that's going to be important because the next thing I want to do is I want to look at our data model. Now, we haven't talked a lot about data modeling before, but we're going to talk about it here. When we click on this, what we'll notice is there is a link. The store number link in the employee spreadsheet links to the store number data item in the store's data file. So these 2 Excel spreadsheets are linked. This is important because now this allows me to take an item from the employee's worksheet and an item from the store's worksheet and put them together in a visualization. Whereas normally they would not because they're in separate worksheets, but because they are linked, I can pick any item from the employee worksheet and any item from the store worksheet and put them in a visualization together. Now, it's curious that the employee number did not link, and that happens sometimes, but I want that thing to link. So the way I'm going to do it is I'm going to go up to the sales, and I'm going to click on those 3 dots right there, which says more options, and it's going to download a menu. And down at the bottom, or about midway, it's going to say manage relationships. It's about 5 items, 6 items down from the top, manage relationships. And I click on that, and it's going to say, it shows me the relationships I've got. And what I want to do is I'm going to add a new relationship. So that it's going to be from the sales table. I'm going to click on the employee column, and it's going to identify that. Now I'm going to go down to table, and I'm going to click on employees, okay? When I click on that, it's going to identify that. And when I hit save, it's going to create a new link right up here between those 2 spreadsheets. And there it is. So we can see now that we've got excuse me, we've got a link now. First, we got a link where it links between stores. You see it highlights those 2 items. And I can also go over and it's linking the employee number. Now, here's what's also interesting. I don't have to make those the same name in order to link them. So let's just link, and I created this data item, even though it's not necessary, just so I can show this. So we're going to go back up here to options. I want employee status and status to be linked to be additional connections between these data files. So I'm going to click on my options again. I'm going to go to manage relationships, and I'm going to create a new relationship, and it's going to be from the sales table. And I'm going to pick, in this case, I'm going to pick employment status. Now remember, it alphabetized these, put them in a different order than they were in the original Excel spreadsheet. So I'm going to click on that, and there it is. Now I'm going to go to table, employees, and it's going to it doesn't know what to pick up, but I'm going to tell it to pick up status. And so now it's going to link those 2. Now it gives us a warning down here at the bottom. Is this really what we want to do? And the answer is yes. I'm going to make this relationship active. I'm going to hit save, and it's going to create an additional link right here. But I'm going to close this down right here between these 2 Excel spreadsheets. And that's going to link employment status to status. So the things that you're linking don't actually have to have the same name. If they have the same name, it makes it easier for Excel or for Power BI to find it. But you can link 2 things that have different names in different spreadsheets to each other and thereby link those 2 spreadsheets together. Now, we're not going to actually use this particular relationship in what we're going to do next, but I wanted you to see how we load up a file. and how we create a relationship. So now when we start doing our visualizations, we can use an item from sales and an item from employees, or an item from sales and an item from stores. We can do that because they are linked together through this data modeling tool that we have. So I think it's a really important way to link your data that's not in the same files, but is related to each other. When you've got common data links between different spreadsheets, you can essentially link them all together using these connections. So at this point, we are ready to start doing some visualizations. I'm going to actually delete this particular, I'm going to go back up here and go to manage relationships, and I'm actually going to click on this employment status, and I'm actually going to go over here and delete that particular link just to get rid of it because we don't really need it. And I'll hit close, and we're ready. So at this point, we could go back up here to on the upper, look on the left side now, up here to our report view, and we can now click on that, and we're ready to start building visualizations in the next part of our lecture on Power BI.